Welcome to this episode of our program Daily Debate. As usual, we will be discussing an important debate. Today we'll be speaking about the President's visit to France, or his three-day visit to France, where he was invited by President Macron. The President started his visit with a preparatory meeting with the Foreign Minister, the French Foreign Minister, during which they discussed a number of files, after which they were discussed with the French President. The President also was keen to meet a number of high-ranking officials, including the Defense Minister, the President of the Senate, the Prime Minister, and a number of businessmen, particularly CEOs of the mega French companies. We'll be speaking about or concluding or making a wrap-up to the visit of President Sisi to this very significant visit that comes in a very timely period. We'll be speaking about that with our distinguished guest, Ambassador Amb Jilan Allam, Assistant Foreign Minister, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have a quick look on this report, and then we'll come back for more discussion.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said more cooperation with France is required to promote tolerance, moderation and acceptance of others, as he spoke in a state banquet hosted by President Emmanuel Macron at the Élysée Palace. The President added that cooperation is needed to counter these negative phenomena and active joint work to enhance the values of tolerance, moderation and acceptance of the other, which are values we desperately need to spread and deepen in the world now more than ever. President Sisi is on an official visit to France, where he held meetings with President Macron, the French Defense and Foreign Ministers, and the Mayor of Paris to discuss issues of mutual interest and joint cooperation. The Egyptian President said his visit represents an important opportunity to exchange viewpoints not only on ways to boost cooperative relations between the two countries, but also to coordinate stances towards different regional and international issues of mutual concern. He added that consensus in viewpoints witnessed in conversations with President Macron reiterates the political will to strengthen the strategic partnership between Egypt and France, and to build on it and move on to achieve the ambitious aspirations of the two friendly peoples. He added that the Egyptian-French strategic partnership reflects a distinguished and fruitful cooperation path that started decades ago until it became an institutional effort that we celebrate for its firm foundations. The President added that the special relations linking our two countries is translated into ongoing cooperation between various Egyptian and French institutions, foremost of which cooperation in the fields of economy, trade, investment, education, transportation, defense, and security. Sisi said France and French people are special to Egyptians, as both peoples share together a cultural and civilizational legacy that extends through the ages. The President thanked Macron for his permanent keenness to enhance joint coordination and develop all aspects of cooperation between our two countries, wishing the French people further security and prosperity. He also thanked Macron for the warm reception in France and hailed official talks between them as constructive and fruitful.
Right, welcome back. Let me again welcome our distinguished guest, Ambassador Amb Jilan Allam, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you again for being with us.
Hello again.
Let me start by asking you to evaluate the importance of such a very significant visit at this very particular time.
Well, let me start by the last part of your question, which is this very particular time. Because I think this usually presidential visits, which in this time it is a state visit. It is not a business visit or a work visit. It's a state visit. It's a 3-day state visit. And usually in our diplomacy, in the diplomacy world of diplomacy, this kind of visit takes quite a long time to prepare for. And this is why, for example, we had the foreign minister of France visiting Egypt last month. That was within the preparations for this visit. But why now? Well, we live in an area which is full of turbulences, political turbulence. And it doesn't see any promising stability coming up. You have a conflict still going on in Syria, a conflict going on in Yemen, a conflict going on in Libya, a country, Sudan, which is trying to stable down its new movement. You have Lebanon, which is facing a striking problem in economy and in politics. It doesn't have a government, it doesn't have, and they don't know where they are heading from there. You have Israel, the neighbor, which is having now today announcing the fourth Knesset dissolvent in almost 1 year, so there is no stability there again. You have 3 countries normalizing their relations together with Israel, yes, with the kind of after effect that we have to figure out. You have Tunisia, where there is a conflict between the pro and the Muslim Brotherhood. Yes. And you have a fight going on in the Sinai, where, again, insurgents are attacking the army and only yesterday, the military spokesman announced that 40 of them have been killed and yes, around 400 search places, hiding places were discovered. So everything is going into really a state of disturbance. So I think, and France being one of the major countries facing the Mediterranean, and where this is supposed to be, it was always a sea of peace. It is no more a sea of peace. So we have a problem. We have the Palestinian problems, which does not seem to move ahead at all, and it is kind of, people feel it is put on the back burner where nobody really looks at it. So you have so many conflicts. Now, countries in the northern flank of the Mediterranean are concerned because, again, the movement of a regional party, which is Turkey, its movements within the Mediterranean, where it wants to assert what it calls its own rights, which others say that it does not fit, it is not commensurate with international law and the law of the sea. And it is shipping insurgents into Libya to fight back, where Egypt had to say, the red line. So we have so many conflicts ahead of us. So France being a major partner, and actually this particular visit has turned our relations with France into a strategic, some kind of a strategic partnership, because at long last there has been some kind of a recognition that what we have been claiming throughout the few last years, maybe since 2012, that there is imminent danger presented by some, let us say, groups that do not see that there is need for them not to be at the helm of governments. They want to reach all governments into the area. This was some kind of hidden promise to them. And it did not accomplish itself. Egypt rejected that choice, and therefore they are just going into disaster, destroying anything that comes under their hand, and using all tools and mechanisms. And France, because of the last couple of events that happened during the last couple of months, I think has realized that what we've been saying was wise and was well established, and maybe it is the time to talk with Egypt about all this issue, since we have been establishing the facts on the table and sustaining them, keeping them up. So, and another element which is very important, the role of Turkey in the area is becoming a little bit disturbing for Europe. So its movement within Asia, within Eastern Europe, Armenia, Azerbaijan. This delivers a message. And visiting Azerbaijan and congratulating them on their fight for freedom. So this is a new Ottoman, let us say, Ottoman view of how the role of Turkey is there. So it is disturbing for them. And they have been trying to talk Turkey into reason and trying to, so they did not. So today actually, is the first day meeting of the Council of Europe. That's the head of states of the 27 countries of the European Union, discussing, among other issues, of course, they have COVID-19, they had a decadence in economy, they have a problem of getting their own economies going on, what to do in the future, what is hidden in there, we don't know. All countries are worried. So comes Turkey to add to this ailment. So a lot of talk have been said about putting sanctions on Turkey. Because Turkey was at one good time, wants to be a member of the European Union, which it did not. So I do not think, and I think the logic here is Europe tells Turkey, how come you want to join us and you're working against our own interests and disturbing our partners? I mean, Cyprus and Greece have been crying wolf all the time, you know, and saying, well, we have a problem here with Turkey. So they do not wish this kind of a disturbance between their partners. And I think that there will come out of this meeting, which is today and tomorrow, I think there will come some kind of a sanction against Turkey to make it reason up with what's going in the area and trying to contain it. This is regarding only the why now we are going to France. Of course, add to that the bilateral relations, be it in economy, in economics, be it in finances, being in aid, being in military cooperation.
Let's divide, because you spoke about files that would take not one episode.
So much has happened actually in this.
Let me divide this and start with what you said, as we need to create a kind of strategic partnership with France, because that also reflects on the kind of meetings the president held.
Yes.
Here I need to ask you about this kind of strategic partnership Egypt seek, and I guess at the same time France is seeking as well. How would it, or how can we, or how can there be this kind of strategic partnership between Egypt and France?
I think we have a good, very good benchmark in so many areas. Well, let me start by the more obvious that people know more about. During the last few years, Egypt has bought from France 24 Rafale planes.
Yes.
2 Mistral frigates, helicopter carriers. We have had only during the last couple of months joint military drills with France, both in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. So I think if, and then the president started his meetings in France with the Minister of Defense. So of the armies, the French armies. So I think this is, for itself only, would make this kind of a strategic partnership. If during his meetings also, because I will try to put things together in such a way. He met with Naval company,
yes.
CEO of the Naval company. Yes. This is the company that specializes in naval pieces, military pieces. He met with the Dassault.
Yes.
Company, which is makes the aircraft and military. He met with the Airbus CEO,
yes.
which is also both in military and civil aviation. So I think only if we look only at this, we will find that there are very strong premises for a strategic partnership. Now, Egypt is one of the major importers of wheat from France. And wheat for us Egyptians is strategic.
Very
important, very much so. So this is another element. Now, we have 165 companies, French companies working in Egypt, most of them multinationals. Total in oil, Lafarge, cement and construction, Orange, telecom, Carrefour, business investment and services, Crédit Agricole, banking. So all of that prepares us for that. We have a very strong, we have almost 4 billion of investments in different, and we should not at all forget the underground, the metro in Egypt.
Yes.
So I think with all this, putting all this in mind, and then the strategic view of the problems that the area is facing. President Macron of France visited Lebanon after the big
explosion,
and
the dramatic explosion.
It was a very strong explosion, actually, beyond. So he said, please have a government. And then he said, I will come back again to check on things and see how things are going. Lebanon is very important to France. And then there was this summit that Macron hosted for help to Lebanon, to which President El-Sisi himself gave a speech and said, we have to stand by the people of Lebanon in all areas. Look at what is happening in Libya. More or less in Libya, Egypt and France have more or less the same strategic view. We don't want illegal immigrants. We don't want splitting the country. We want one territorial entity called Libya. We want peace in the Mediterranean. We don't want insurgents traveling back and forth from the Mediterranean. And then the gas of the East Mediterranean, which is now a formal forum which Egypt is hosting. So the gas in the Mediterranean, how many countries are involved? Egypt, Israel, eventually Palestine, because Gaza is on watching the Mediterranean, Lebanon, so Greece, Cyprus.
You started with the Middle East area, and then definitely the Mediterranean.
So this is a forum. This is a formal forum, and this is going to be the source of the future energy going to Europe. It's closer, it's cheaper, it's climate friendly, and mind you, France is hosting, is the head, the country that hosted the climate international conference. So there is so much that we are working together on still now. So with all this turbulence in the area, with all this civil wars going on, with all these controversies going in the area, with all what Egypt is finding and trying to find partners for its development. We have so much going on in terms of national projects, big national projects. You are having a new capital for Egypt, which is something out of, we have not yet, I think that the public has not yet understood how far this new capital of Egypt is going to affect all the future dealings of Egypt and its stature in the world. We have a lot with the Suez Canal economic area going on that we are starting to establish a lot of industries. So there is a lot going on between us and between France. And this is why this important visit there lasted for 3 days, 3 full days actually. And if we are going to go through how many people did and how many high functionaries did the president meet, we will be surprised that this has been able to fit all of this
in 3 days.
In those 3 days.
Very much indeed. Let me here start with files and the Mediterranean. And the Mediterranean is, as you said, respectively here, is the energy, is the relationship between Mediterranean countries, is also the the mutual interests of fighting terrorism, of illegal migrancy, of all these all together. Now, from your point of view, how far do you see a kind of vision that gather both leaders for the same or at the same side?
Egypt has always been, and it's not because it says so. It's because its geography, its history, its political movement, the number of its population, 101 million now we are. It's because of its large economy, its investment opportunities, its overseeing the Mediterranean, being sided by what used to be the Arab world. So we don't speak much about that anymore. So I think all of this has always imposed on Egypt, always imposed on Egypt to have its say and to have a role to play, to settle things inside and outside its borders. I think it turned to be a duty, a feeling of duty that we have to do that, because when we talk, when we speak, people listen. And the very simple example again is what we have been saying about terrorism, about the harsh talk, about feeling for the country, intransigence in ideas, fundamentalism, extremism. All of these ideas we have been saying these are enemies of the one state, enemies of the people, enemies of peace, enemies of stability. And the people and the world was telling us, well, you're doing this because of human rights issues. And now I think they are coming to realize it's not that anymore. It's not that we have been right in saying, beware, this is a dangerous trend. These are additional influx of a group of people who see the world from a different angle and who wants to oppress and push that angle for other people. So today itself, the government in France is taking a decision to limit and to put down extremism. Whatever now the definition of this extremism is in their sense. It might be not the same meaning and the same extent to which we're going. Senator Ted Cruz in the United States also is putting a law that the Muslim Brotherhood be recognized as a terrorist organization. So we have so much that is doing this. So we have a lot to think together. So Lebanon, we thinking on the same way of thinking. Libya, we are with France on the same way of addressing the issue. Illegal migration, I think the naval force, Egyptian naval forces are playing a very strong role in this regard. Economy, I think now the economies in Europe are looking for new opportunities for themselves and for also or for the other area. So investment has a good return for Europe when we talk with France within the limits that we have been talking about. And then what else can we do? Armies. Now the East Mediterranean also is becoming, and I think the few coming months will show how important this part of the Mediterranean is going to be important and affecting dramatically the economic development of all of Europe. And this is why Turkey doesn't want to be exempted or ousted of that party, because they had their plan. We had the Nordic line coming from Russia through Turkey and developing gas or oil. Now Russia will need its own oil and its own gas, and it might not materialize that. So Turkey does not have, and Turkey itself is an importer of energy.
Yes.
So it does not have, and this is why in its backyard, all the countries of Central Asia have very strong because of that particular. So with France, we have. And then France looks at itself now under President Macron of being one of the strong leaders in Europe. Germany under Angela Merkel was one of the strong partners. And I think that the coalition, let us say, or the alliance between France and Germany made Europe stand on its feet within the European Union. After Brexit, there is going to be ramifications for Britain going out of there. So I think the role now stands in the hands of both France and Germany to keep the European Union intact. And this is why the Mediterranean is becoming such an interactive arena and theater. So there is so much that is in common, and I think we have to work hard and put that very much in mind. I did not speak about the other, I mean, I missed in the Iran factor. But I just putting it on the table because our table is heavy.
It's very heavy, and filled with many files indeed. Iran. And a new president at the United States, where he said that he would want to return good relations with Europe. But that also is not very much in favor of the Middle East, because if he returns to this agreement with Iran, it would really reflect on our relations together with the United States or with a coming administration. How do you view a role of France at this? I mean, here, I'm pretty sure that the president is wearing several hats when he went to France.
Yes.
So how do you read the situation here?
Okay, that's, let me put it this way. I think President Trump is preparing for some kind of a show, last show, let us say. But I will speak about President-elect so far,
yes.
Joe Biden. I would think that the United States under Joe Biden will get back to the 5+1 agreement with Iran. But it will be with some addition, with some review, because countries of the Gulf have very strong concerns about the next movements of Iran. Iran, with the Houthis in Yemen, is attacking almost every day, sending missiles to and drones and so on to through Saudi Arabia, including oil facilities. So Iran is moving, but I think now it is waiting, it's holding what it's doing because it wants to see how will the new president reflect when he gets to the White House. Countries of the Gulf would like to join in these new negotiations with, it will have to include more guarantees, more serious sanctions, it will have to guarantee missile production, concentration of uranium, inspection rights and so on. I think we will see a different approach to the agreement. But Europe, that has worked for 10 years since the Obama administration on this agreement, would feel like, no, it might be wiser and more profitable with their relations with the Gulf countries to review this agreement and to enhance it and to put more restrictions and to make it more comprehensive in so many ways that have been developed through the last few years since it was adopted. So in this respect, we will get back to who is holding Europe together: France and Germany. So this is why France is important in there and sees that it has also a role, a strong role, because France not only is concerned about what has been happening during the first year of President Trump, but how will the new president, not vice president elected, no, but the new president, Biden, will do with France. How? They have together the NATO alliance. They have together Britain getting out of, where will it go? Will it join the United States? They have the economic problem. How will we redress our economies and move forward? They have COVID-19, for which we are seeing a new elements exposing themselves, even with the vaccines and so on. So France sees that it has an important role, particularly that Angela Merkel is leaving her post next year, and there is a new chairman incoming in Germany. So now we have to see how is going to match, what's the new thinking, the new approach of Germany. So you will see that France under Macron will have to play a very solid role indeed in this, vis-à-vis the United States, vis-à-vis the Gulf countries, vis-à-vis the Mediterranean, vis-à-vis Iran, vis-à-vis Turkey.
And we can see
it's a very it's a multi-level, and it's going like some kind of a matrix. Now, what is happening in this area, and I think that for the next decade at least, there will be problems and a focus on this part of the world.
If it is a puzzle in front of us, then we can see those days that Germany is concerned with the internal part of Europe and making everything in order. But it is pushing France for the outside relations, and this has been so obvious since sometimes President Macron has always been in the forefront for all the foreign relations. Right.
Egypt again.
Yes. But before we continue on with this very interesting conversation, let me here have this second report, and President Sisi shares views on Mediterranean, Middle East issues in Paris. Let's watch.
France's Prime Minister Jean Castex told President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi that his country is keen to increase its investments in Egypt to support development efforts in the country. President al-Sisi met Castex earlier today to discuss bilateral relations, particularly in the fields of major development projects, energy, transportation, education, health, culture, and tourism, as well as cooperation in the military and security fields. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Rodi said that Castex said the achievements Egypt has made under the leadership of President al-Sisi make it important to back these developmental efforts to consolidate the role of Egypt is playing as a balancing axis for the Eastern Mediterranean and the Middle East. In a separate meeting with France's Minister of Economy and Finance, Bruno Le Maire, President al-Sisi said that Egypt is looking forward to deepening economic ties with France, especially in the localizing industry and technology transfer. He also highlighted the promising opportunities provided by major projects in the country and the modernized infrastructure network, in addition to Egypt's improved investment climate. The French minister, on his part, congratulated Egypt's President al-Sisi on what he described as the noticeable economic performance Egypt has achieved during the current year. He praised Egypt's pivotal role in supporting security and stability in both the Middle East and the Eastern Mediterranean, which consolidates France's keenness on reinforcing cooperation with the Egyptian government in various fields. In a meeting at the French Senate headquarters, President al-Sisi and the President of France's Senate, Gérard Larcher, exchanged points of view on the latest developments in Eastern Mediterranean and the Middle East. Topping the discussion was Egypt's comprehensive vision on the challenges facing the region, particularly combating terrorism and extremist thought, along with restoring security and stability in crisis-stricken countries. The meeting also discussed ways to activate cooperative ties, developing bilateral relations between the two countries, especially in the fields of tourism, cultural production and development, read a statement released by the Egyptian presidential spokesman Bassem Rodi following the meeting. Larcher told Sisi that his country supports Egypt and its pivotal and balanced role in the Middle East, assuring that Paris wants to enhance its partnership with Cairo at all levels, especially on the parliamentary front. Sisi started an official visit to Paris on Sunday, during which he met with French President Emmanuel Macron and France's defense and foreign ministers, as well as the mayor of Paris and other officials, as well as a number of French economic institutions and businessmen.